I'll give a long intro like, hey-o. Hey, welcome to GameCast code 4.5/5.
Did you just say GameCast again?
Whatever.
We're GameCast. Don't listen to this man.
Yeah. This episode we are try again. We say try because both of us tend to go off topic. Focus
It's
on
more him than me. I'm on point all the time.
I really just don't have the energy to argue with you today, so I'm going to continue.
Literally
talking.
half
So
our show.
we're gonna- So we're going to talk about our gaming top 5s, top 5 like consoles, top 5 games for those consoles, top 5 games in general, top 5 eras in like gaming, all that stuff. We're going to try to run over those top 5s on this episode today. Right into it. We want to do top 5 what first?
We can start with the top 5 consoles first. It seems like a great place to start.
Top 5 consoles. I'm
Top
going to
5.
start with one. My number one console.
So wait, is number 1 like the worst, or is number 1 the best?
So number 1 is the
clarify.
best, right? Number one's the best.
So you don't want to start with the worst first, or like your least?
Well,
favorite?
well,
Like your favorite. But
Yeah.
like your
yeah, number 5.
favorite.
It's difficult. I'm sure because I feel like I know exactly what I love, but it's kind of gonna be hard to like go after. You know what I mean? After that.
Yep.
Okay, so
All right.
My number 1.
Yep.
Console of all time for me personally.
The PlayStation 3. That's interesting. I wouldn't expect that.
Okay, when I rate something, I'm very
Oh.
So I try to not.
Man, full of himself right now. I love that for him.
No, hear me out, right?
I'm hearing.
When people make their own top 5s and top 10s,
Yep.
and they speak to the camera or they speak to their audience as if this is the end-all top 10/top 5. It kind of, it doesn't make me upset, but it just feels like they're taking opinion completely out of the equation. They're just like saying, this is the top 10 thing. I like to say, this is my top 5.
I feel like that's how a top 5 should go.
Right? What do you mean? Like just saying it's end all be all?
No. Like it should be like, hey, look, this is what I believe.
Yeah,
to be.
like yeah. So
It's not like a finalized like this is it, and don't even bother arguing with me because you're wrong type of thing.
exactly. Yeah, I feel like a lot of top 5s that you see on YouTube or top 10s, they go with that. They're like, don't
For
even
sure.
try to argue. So I have embraced the personality aspect
Are
of
we
it.
adding Watch Mojo on this, or
I know, right? Welcome to Watch. All right, but so basically,
please don't slam us, Watch Mojo.
and overall,
Yep.
in the stage of my life that I was in, I received the most enjoyment from playing on the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
Specifically playing like Call of Duty and other co-op games with my friends.
All right. I can see that.
Actually, you know what? I'm pulling an awful. PS3's 2. PS3 is the number 2 gaming console.
Okay. So then what's your number 1 then?
The personal computer. That's right, baby. The PC is the best gaming console. PC Master Race, baby. That's right. You heard it here first. Go get yourself a $2,500 rig if you want to.
You're sick. You're sick. It's like I don't even know you anymore. Man just said a PC was a console, and I'm about to yeet myself out the window for it.
After that, I would say PlayStation 4.
Okay. I'm gonna guess that that's solely because of DMC5. Yeah. Oh wait, but you play DMC on the PC, so never mind.
Yes.
You also play.
Oh my gosh.
Batman Arkham Knight. Okay, but it was like a year late. Did you actually time it?
In-game stuff. Yeah, no.
You did?
It takes so long. Like, you're just sitting there like.
That's like my biggest struggle. Is like when I'm waiting for something to load on the PC, I'm just like, am I sure
You're
that
just
I
there with
this?
the Fry meme face, like
Like,
not
like,
sure
if I-
if double clicked. uh,
Yep. What's your number 4?
I'm gonna say the original Xbox. I'm gonna say the original Xbox. It was like my introduction into gaming alone in my home.
Okay. All right. But
I was in middle school.
wait. So like, are you one of those people that like, if you don't play Halo on like heroic difficulty, like you just like don't have a good time playing it? Really?
I was yes, I felt factors a factor in. I do value my gaming time a lot. I don't get a ton. I do have a family, and that takes up a ton of your time. So when you do get the chance to play games, you don't exactly want to play the same level like 3 times, and then bam, that's your entire.
Halo's literally telling you to get good, scrub.
What?
I said Halo's literally telling you to get good, scrub.
Well, it was, but okay. What I'm saying is, I'm the opposite in that. So that's 4. That's
Okay.
4.
All right.
And then 5.
I feel like I know what your 5 is.
What is it?
Is it the GameCube?
It's the GameCube.
Yeah! I knew it.
The GameCube, baby. How's that? Let's hope that's better. I think turned off.
Technical difficulties.
Whoa!
Oh. Tongue tie number 1. Let's go.
Yes. We're
I love that.
That's my top 5. Let's go. 5 one more time. We got the GameCube, the original Xbox, the 4, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 2, and then
No. You said the PlayStation 3.
I said 3. I meant 3. Sorry.
Scrub.
PlayStation 3, and then I'm just gonna cop out and say that the PC is number 1 gaming console.
You were literally the worst person alive for that. No, you were the worst person. I don't even know you. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. They're all on P. Oh yeah, you're right.
A lot of PlayStation exclusives are getting ported to the PC. So there's that. How about you, Peter? Your top 5 consoles.
So my number 1, without question, is the PlayStation 2. I'm a little disappointed in you for it, to be honest.
I told you it's a very personal list. I played endless hours of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I'll give you that, but I didn't spend much time other than that playing the PlayStation 2.
So PlayStation 2 was the Kingdom Hearts machine. That's my favorite game series of all time. Spoiler for that list ahead. So that was easily my number 1. So PlayStation 2 is my number 1 console. For my second, I would definitely have to say definitely the GameCube. Really, definitely the GameCube. So actually, it wasn't really even so much for Melee. I
joke because
Melee's the GameCube is the Smash machine.
Well,
the Smash machine.
I just joke with Peter about Melee because like he had a decent relationship with that game, like as a child and then growing up, and then as an adult, like we had a decent relationship, like playing it together as adults, and then I started no-lifing that game so bad that now if Peter plays with me.
I get very salty within like 2.5 seconds.
Because it's not like he's playing much, and not to say that I'm just better than him and everything.
In that game, he is. Don't let him fool you.
There's tons of games that Peter would just
smoke him.
Yes, absolutely destroy me. But Melee, I got his number. So I joke with him about that all the time. Like, hey, you want to play some Melee?
And then I'm like, outstyle me in Devil May Cry. We'll see what happens.
Okay, in one of those games I can.
Okay, yeah, that's because you watch speedrunners play, and that's cheap, and it's not fair.
Okay, I've watched them play. I'm not studying them. I've watched.
You are definitely studying them.
No,
yes.
Oh my God, no.
We have literally watched a speedrun of the Bloody Palace.
Okay, yeah, but
that you have watched religiously.
I didn't watch it religiously.
Yes, you did.
One time, other than the time I watched it with you. And
Religiously.
it's not studying. I'm just noting that that game seems to have like.
You can only note if you study.
Oh, okay. But it's like it's a very casual study. I'm just looking at it and thinking, oh, I can apply some of these tactics to to the enemies that he's killing in those ways. But it's
Which you can only do if you study.
I still outstyle you in 5.
Okay, but I would outplay you as Virgil in any day.
What?
Virgil. I would outplay you as Virgil in any day.
What's your highest Bloody Palace?
I actually haven't tackled the Bloody Palace as Virgil yet.
Okay.
Because I'm too busy getting God tier status as Virgil, but we're moving on back to the list. Wow. You make me so mad sometimes. My number 3, like red orbs or so we're at the number 3. The number 3 is definitely the PlayStation 4. The 4. Solely because it really is.
Okay, so where were we at? We were at 3.
So my number 3, and I need to preface this, would definitely be the newer makes of the PlayStation 4. Because my original PS4 got the blue light of death. That was big sad, not gonna lie.
I feel like that's way rare though. That's definitely way rarer than the Xbox Red Ring of Death. I remember the 360 really had a tough time. I think that was a heating issue. If I remember correctly, that was an overheating issue that was like chronic. Like a ton of Xboxes had that problem, and not many PS4s had that. But I guess Peter got unlucky.
I am known to have that significantly wonderful brand of bad luck. But definitely the newer makes of the PS4 were way better. I don't have a Pro, but I have the Slim, and I've gotten a lot of mileage out of it just by, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, which, like a lot of people weren't happy with, but, you can't have a game wait 13 years to come out and please everyone. But I'm happy with what I got, so.
Quick aside to Kingdom Hearts 3. Most of my experience with Kingdom Hearts, in fact, I would say pretty much all of it, is watching my good friend Peter just destroy those games. Like collect everything that's collectible, beat all the bosses that are beatable, most of them. There was a couple that.
There's only one. There's only one. It came out in the Remind DLC. I haven't beaten the secret boss yet, and I don't want to talk about it because it gets me really upset.
But so those, I think as someone who didn't have such an investment in the third one coming out and didn't wait, like you said, 13 years for it to come out, I was really satisfied with what that game had to offer. And I think a lot of the people who were disappointed just let this thing build up over so many years, and their expectations were so high. And like, I understand the disappointment, but at the same time, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought the graphics and the movement were greatly improved upon. I thought the in-game battles looked great. They're probably much more frustrating than I make them out to be, because all I did was watch Peter destroy them. But I thought everything looked great, and I think that's a great game. And people who aren't too high on it just need to see it for what it is.
I'll agree with that. But moving back onto the list, I would definitely say my number 4 would be the Nintendo Switch. It's is that a hot take? I mean,
I think it sells well, but its power is underwhelming. But it sells well, and it's like for the power that it does provide, it it gives you some pretty good games.
So I would say that it's literally a like a like it's a console game on the go. It's not like it's like a 3DS that's outputting HD, but like obviously there's no 3D imagery popping off the screen, um, which was not the best, I'll admit. Um, a lot of great games that came out on that. We're looking at Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I think the new Pokemon Snap game comes out tomorrow. That's my number 4, and my number 5 is the Super Nintendo. That was the first console I ever played on. I have a lot of fond memories of that. Playing, Super Mario with my older sister. Shout out to you, Megan. Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG. There's a lot of Super Mario games. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, Chrono Trigger, timeless RPG, one of the best games ever made. But yeah, it's cool.
Did you just say that Chrono Trigger is timeless? There's no way. There's no way you could say that. There's no feasible way you could say that. Come on. That's too easy. That's too easy.
The pun was unintentional, but well made, well deserved. I'm gonna give myself props for it. Yeah. So moving on from top 5 consoles, what would you say your top 5 games or game series are?
That's pretty tough. Not gonna lie, that's pretty tough. Man, it's when I think of stuff like these, I really do think of, like I said, so many personal aspects that add up together, to create the experience of playing a game. Like something that immediately comes to mind to me is actually maybe for 5, just because I feel like it has to be mentioned, is the Call of Duty game. And I listen, and I know that kind of comes with its own aside, and it's a little bit, controversial to say, but it was something that I looked forward to playing every day in high school. Every day, after all the struggles you go through in high school, basically, I knew that at the end of the day, my friends would be on COD and that we could play COD together. And knowing that gets you through the hardest days. And it's like, it's true. It did. It got, for me personally, there were a bunch of days where I'm so done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go home and play COD. And that was like my release. And it made everything from the day wash away. And so I feel like 5 for me is going to be the Call of Duty game series. Hit me with your 5.
My 5 would, and I'm going to be setting my standard pretty high, which is my number 5 entry alone. It would definitely be the Legend of Zelda series. And I feel like a big part of the reason for that is that I didn't really grow up with the Legend of Zelda. A lot of people have been playing it since they were kids. I didn't play my first Legend of Zelda game until I got to high school. But with just the friendships that were better built upon that relationship with that game, I have a deep love for it. Breath of the Wild, the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, wonderful games. So Legend of Zelda series, easily my top 5. Number 5, I should say.
Oh man, okay, you're kind of putting me on the spot. I'm gonna put the Legend of Zelda series for me at number 4. So it's going up as number 4 because, similar to you, I did not grow up with the game series. I discovered it as well in high school. The first Zelda game that I played was Twilight Princess, and from there I ventured out and I branched out to other Zelda games. But that was the one that started it all, and it was one of the first games I can remember that I was playing alone, figuring out the puzzles alone, unassisted from game facts or any guides or anything like that. Unassisted from my dad. My dad helped me out in a lot of my early gaming. Like all of the single player stuff that I could think of, it was just stuff like he sort of let me play while he, watched, or like World of Warcraft, where he was basically like he taught me the rotation. Like he's like, okay, you're a warlock, so you need to make sure your pet is alive, and then you need to hit these things in this order. But then, like as when it came to gear, when it came to quests, he'd tell me exactly what gear to wear. He would put it on for me. He would set up the rotational bar. He would bring me to the places where the quest kind of thing. But so for Legend of the Zelda is one of the first games where I was like actually I was on my own and I got really into the universe of that game, and um, and man, it's just all around really great game series. One of the greatest, in my opinion, translations from an idea, from an experience, like we talked about on our second episode with the developer, third episode with the developer. Adventuring through his life and sort of imagining what that could be like. One of the best translations to an in-game experience ever. And so that gets number 4 for me. Hit me with your 4, Peter.
Oh man, we're really cracking down now. My number 4. It's tricky because there's only like 2 games in the series. No, well, that's going somewhere on the list. I was actually going to say the Chrono series, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. Oh, dude, I love those games so much. So I played Chrono Trigger in high school, like I did for most of my significantly important games. Um, and it kind of like it was such an in-depth and well thought out game and story that it honestly like set such a high standard for me. Um, for me, it was when I started really like developing like a true passion for gaming. When I saw like what could be done when just a group of people came together and did something they really loved, and just trying to like figure out how to maneuver through the story because like you're giving tasks to do with a vague idea on how to do them and going to different time periods throughout the game to change one minor thing so it can have a major effect in something later in the future was amazing. And it was just like little things like you wouldn't think about. Like I remember this one thing, it stumped me. There's an item that you need that this greedy man has and he won't give it to you. And you later find his ancestor in the past. And they're really struggling in the past because they're very poor. But like if you help him out, like help out his ancestor, like you throw him some money, I think it was, then his whole family's perspective of like on monetary, gain changes. And when you go back to the future, that man will just give you the item. And it like who would think of something so small in order to do that? And then the sequel, Chrono Cross, was the first game I ever played on a PlayStation. So it has a very significant, memory for me, I guess you could say. It was again like a well thought out story. I think it was made by different people, but the spirit of the game was still there. Instead of traveling to different times, you were traveling to a different dimension, and you would go back and forth to gain items or party members that you need from one dimension in order to progress to the next. And the two stories were very very interconnectedly woven. It was a very complete game series for me. I'm kind of disappointed they never made the third. I heard a lot of rumors that they were planning to make a third game, and it just never happened. So this is a Nintendo. Make the third one. Make the third one. It's a Nintendo.
All right, we're going to number 3. Number 3 on the list. For me, my number 3 game of all time Risk of Rain 2. Now, I know you're getting upset because I made you buy it and you never booted it up. But that game is excellent, man. That game was made by three dudes in a basement. No, they weren't in the basement. But that game was made by three guys, and it doesn't show because I can't even describe how good this game is, man. It's probably my favorite. Obviously, it's my favorite roguelike, but I also think it's one of the best made roguelikes. And if you don't know what a roguelike is, basically procedurally generated, level by level type game that death restarts your entire save. Every single bit of progression that you made in your save is gone when you die. But it's not like it's not like dying in the Legend of Zelda on the third temple and you just lost 5 hours of gameplay. No, the game is made so that it feels okay to die and start your run over. And basically, the only progression that was made was that you, the person playing, hopefully noted what was going on during your playthrough and you tried to get better. You tried to make yourself a better player. And so it rewards people who grind the game, like me with 850 hours. It was 750 last week. I put in another. I put in another 100 this week. So there's that, and it's just so crazy, man. I mean, if you go on YouTube right now and just look up Risk of Rain 2 God Run, that's what they're called. Good runs in that game aren't called good runs. They're called God runs because you essentially you feel like a god. I mean, the director in that game is a very interesting thing. It basically has a time factor that makes it so that it's always getting more difficult. You are always racing the clock. You are always having stuff spawn. There's a 15-second director and a 30-second director. So every 15 seconds and every 30 seconds, there's different groups of enemies that are spawning at different values. Basically, some are going to be elites, some are not. Some are going to be huge groups of enemies, some are not. Some are going to be a couple really strong enemies. Some are going to be a bunch of little enemies. They all give you money. There's chests all around so that you can get these items that are rated differently on tiers, and they all add to your character in some way. Some not the best, nothing bad. No item that you get is going to be like bad, but some of them are going to be amazing, and they literally attach to the character that you're playing. So by the end of this, you look different. Like you literally look almost unrecognizable from the character that you started with. And all those items stick to you and they give you special effects, and there's so many different scenes, there's different enemies. It is so rewarding to play over and over and over and over again. And this is without the artifact system involved. The artifact system in that game made it so that you can add these slight changes to your run that affect the entirety of the run. Like the artifact of command. Instead of random items spawning from a chest, a tier will drop. Basically a white item that you can go up to and pick out of all the white items. You get to pick what it is so you can make custom build. Or the artifact of blast, which makes it so that you have 10% health, but you do 10 times more damage. So you are literally capped at 10% of your original health, but you do 10 times the normal damage.
So you're like a literal glass cannon.
Exactly why it's called the artifact of blast. But so with that one, it's just, oh man, it's just such a great gamey game. I know that sounds weird, but it really is. It's got so many things that all video games try to encompass. Different scenery, different collectibles, different play styles, rewarding gameplay, frustrating gameplay, replayability at the wazoo. I mean, I've put 850 hours into the thing. Got to have some replayability. And that game was literally made by 3 people. And it is well supported for mods. The modding community has had a field day with that game because the developers want to make it easy to mod. There's literally some of my favorite mods for any video game ever are in Risk of Rain 2, and they are the Saiyan mods. You can play Risk of Rain 2 as Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks. And they actually have transformations. Like Goku has every transformation you can think of from the Dragon Ball Z like show is in it. Goku has it. Like even 4, like a non-canon transformation, Super Saiyan 4. It is freaking awesome. He has multiple abilities. He has the Kamehameha. Um, each transformation has its own ability too. There's a hidden transformation, which I'll just tell you about now. It's the Mastered Ultra Instinct. It has one of my favorite abilities in the entire game. So you get it. You have to die to get it. So you get to the max level plus 10 power level, and then you die. And instead of dying, you go in Mastered Ultra Instinct. And your ability is you hit V and you teleport strike like literally 25 things. So up to 25 enemies, you just go ching and you smack them. And you do that like really fast. In like 5 seconds, you're literally and like you hit them, but none of them take damage. And then you teleport back to your original spot, and then Goku makes them snap, and they all just explode. It's the coolest thing ever. I know I went in a freaking rant about Risk of Rain 2, but who wouldn't have expected that? So that's going to be my number 3. Peter, hit me with your number 3.
Devil May Cry. Easily number 3 would be the Devil May Cry series, and I'm even going to include the not so loved DMC Devil May Cry reboot. It is a good game. I think it's a very underrated game. I think a lot of people hate that game because it did change a lot of core concepts about the game, and maybe Dante's character wasn't the best written character in the world in that game. But I think a lot of people realize that Dante is not the best well-written character point in general. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And then 6 years later, DMC5 came out, and it was wonderful. But we're not even gonna just. I'm gonna gush about DMC5 in a bit. But the first Devil May Cry game I played was actually the first Devil May Cry. Yeah, it was the first one. And I sucked at it. But being bad at it made me want to get better at it, so I did. And again, it's not the best well-written story in the world. It doesn't have to be. Dante is just a cool character. That legendary voice crack literally took away minus 10 cool points. So what you're saying is it's over 9,000. So anyway, um, then the second one came out, and I didn't like it.
DMC2 is a masterpiece of gaming. You just don't get it. Have you ever thought, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if like helicopters got infected with like zombie demon DNA and I just shot at them with my pea shooter for 10 minutes? You never thought that was a good idea? Well, that's because you're not a genius Japanese game dev from 2003, okay?
Instead, I was a 13-year-old with a short attention span. Um, Not to say that like the game didn't have its high points. It wasn't as fun. Yeah,
The game did not have its high points. It's bad. It's all bad.
I kind of liked the soundtrack.
The fact that you could hear anything over the mess happening on screen is astounding to me.
I didn't bag on you for Risk of Rain 2. Give me this one, all right? Give me this. Literally has 0 seconds booted up on my PC. That's $15 I'll never get back, Nick. But then we move on to DMT3, and that game was a masterpiece. The game was wonderful. and even including its original American release, where it was like the hardest game ever made.
That game defined a generation of action games.
100%. And you want to know? I was really bad at that game too. It was a it, it's it's definitely a game that you kind of have to work on. But once you have it, you have it. I played that game nonstop for about 3 years. DMC4 was a wonderful game. It introduced Nero, which is arguably the game's main character now. Arguably, and he was a cool character, voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, which I love because he wonderful voice actor. And then DMC5 came out, and that game was a masterclass. It was a masterpiece. And I think it got Best Action Game 2019. Wonderful soundtrack. It included the Devil May Cry story wonderfully. It was amazing. So yeah, Devil May Cry easily my number 3. What's your number 2?
We're probably only got another 10 minutes anyway, so let's get these last two and then we'll wrap it right up. So, wow. Number 2 game series for me of all time, I'm going to say the Super Smash Brothers series. I think it's impossible for me not to at least mention it on my top 5. I have spent, if you think 850 hours of Risk of Rain 2 is a lot, there is no official in-game timer for Super Smash Brothers Melee. I would generously say I've spent about 2,000 or 3,000 hours playing that game, like straight as serious I can be. And so it's a game that has brought thousands of people together. Some of the people who are closest to my heart are people who I met through Super Smash Brothers. Me and Peter bonded over Super Smash Brothers 4 or Smash Bros 4, whatever you want to call it. For Smash 4 Wii U is what it was called, and 3DS. And it seriously, it's just maybe it's the Smash community making me feel this way, but I've had just some of the best times of my life playing Smash with people, and even at like a small scale, like I can remember winning my first amateur bracket for Super Smash Brothers Melee as one of the most glorious moments of my life, and maybe that's just telling that my life hasn't been that glorious. But when you put the type of work and dedication that I put into this game, and to have that kind of an experience, which to go through it quickly, I basically was not very competitive with some of the people who I was playing. Like I was playing really well that day, and I had somebody who beat me in in pretty decent fashion. I think it was 2-1 or 2-0. He beat me pretty easily. In a ditto as well, in a Falco ditto, and it felt really bad, and I was really frustrated. And then me and him had a really grueling 10-game, or rather 9-game grand final set that I edged out into game 5 on the second set, and it was just like I left a piece of me in that room. I mean, it was grueling, man. It was really tough. But it was one of the most accomplishing things I've ever done. And shout outs to that player. I think his name was Tryhawk, right? Yeah. Shout outs to Tryhawk, bro. You pushed me to be a better man that day, and I actually thank you for it. So, Smash Bros is going to be my number 2. Hit me with your 2.
The Final Fantasy series. That's I feel like you kind of can't talk about gaming without thinking about the significance that game series has had on the gaming industry as a whole. The first Final Fantasy I ever played was actually Final Fantasy 12. And I was really bad at it. But I kind of went backwards from there. I played 10. It's a good meme to this day. I don't care what anyone says. Uh, um, so So I played 10, but I played 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5, and I played them all backwards. I even like the not so great ones, like 13. But mainly because for the soundtrack, because the soundtrack of that game was amazing, and the graphics are pretty on point too for what like the PS3 and the 360 could output back then. I never played the MMO ones. I never played 11 or 14, which I hear is like a that's my bad. But I'm just not into multiplayer games like that. I'll take the L. But I played Final Fantasy 15, and I really liked it, and I'm really looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. If I had to pick like a favorite, it's not 7, although the 7 remake was wonderful. It was a really good game, and I'm really looking forward to the re-release it's getting. The bonus content this summer. Yuffie's going to be a playable character in that, and I'm really looking forward to it. I would say that Final Fantasy 9 is like my favorite Final Fantasy game. Very personal to me. A good friend of mine is actually the one. Actually, you remember the Freelanders? Brian was the one who let me borrow that game, and it was the first Final Fantasy I actually beat. Played 12 first, had to step away from it for a little while because I kept getting frustrated because I kept dying because I'm not good at that game. Then I played 9, and 9 was wonderful. 10's probably a close second for me. But Final Fantasy, down to the characters, their design, the worlds they build, and the music, it's all a masterclass in gaming for me.
All right, we're going to do our number ones, and then we're going to end the show. My number one game series / game of all time is going to be the Arkham series. I don't know if there is an Arkham, or rather, if there is another game series that has ever made me feel like I am inside of the universe and inside of the headspace of the character that is in the title of the game. And I don't know if it's possible. Shut up. I don't know if it's possible to even do that in another game. Thank you. Stop. I have idolized Batman since I was a little kid. I thought he was the coolest guy ever. The fact that he's just a man and that he overcomes all these challenges is very inspiring to me. And Arkham Knight just made me feel like I was Batman, and it made me feel like I was inside of that universe. And during the times, even now, during the times that I play those games, the difficulties of life wash away because I'm not worried about those. I'm worried about catching the bad guys because I'm Batman.
Well, you see, the plan is simple. We kill the Batman. My number one is shocker. I spoiled it earlier in the series. It's Kingdom Hearts. I played that first game back when it came out in like 2001, I want to say, and I fell in love with that series. It's the crossover no one knew that we wanted. Final Fantasy and Disney. Who would have thought? It's wonderful though, and I get that a lot of people look at the story and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. The games aren't that good anymore, and I'll wholeheartedly agree that the story is a little bit nonsensical. But that world has had such an impact on me growing up. That when I play that game as an adult now, it's like I'm a kid again, experiencing that world. And in one word I could easily use to describe it is magical. The characters have a close place to my heart. Kind of surprised I don't have a Kingdom Hearts tattoo yet. That's kind of my next one. That's definitely a must. But it's had such a huge impact on me as a person growing up that it really couldn't be any other game series for me. Kingdom Hearts is my definite number one.
That's it for GameCast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. GameCast. Sorry. That's it for GameCast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're broadcasting here from the Dr. Fix-It Cyber Complex, where you guys can come watch us live every Thursday at around 6 o'clock. Today we did start a little bit early, but every other Thursday we're going to be running right around 6 o'clock. And you're also most likely watching on the Rhode Island Broadcasting Facebook page. So why don't you drop a follow, a like, and a share? It helps out the channel a lot. And if you're looking for more me content, visit havenshine.net. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we are out.